Hey guys, it is September the 2nd, 2025, and I hope everybody's been having a wonderful day so far today. Oh my gosh. I have tried to film today's video now for like the last hour and a half. I've stopped counting. The last time that I counted, it was 26 takes. I have tried filming today's video so many times. I've been interrupted so many times. I'm not going to get into all of it because all my other takes, I started getting into what was holding me back from getting today's video filmed, and then something else would interrupt me. So I'm not even going to worry about that. I'm not going to explain what happened today. It doesn't even matter at this point. I just want to get today's video filmed for you guys and actually get into today's topic. The last video that I did, it doesn't even matter. I'm not even going to even get into it because, like I said, every time I do, something else happens. So let's just forget about that. It's in the past now. Just like with our drinking, if we relapsed yesterday or this weekend, guess what? That's in the past. And let's leave that where it is, in the past. And I'm not going to worry about it. And, if something happened with any of you guys this weekend, don't worry about it. Let's just look towards the future and just keep pushing forward and not worry about any of it, because just like I was explaining this in my last video that I was doing, the last take that I was doing, that, the past is in the past, and worrying about it or getting upset about it or anything, it's not going to change it. It's not going to do anything other than stress us out and, waste more time that we have right now in the now. So let's just focus on right now. And, let's go ahead and get into the topic for today. And what I wanted to talk about is, when I was in active addiction, how I couldn't even make it all the way through the night. I just couldn't. Now, I'm not going to say that it was every single night, because it wasn't. I would be lying if I said that. But I will say that at least probably 4 or 5 nights out of the week, I would have to wake up in the middle of the night and get up and make myself a drink and then go back to sleep again. That's how bad my drinking had become towards the end of my drinking career. Like I said, I'd wake up in the middle of the night, whatever time. It's not like there was like a set time that I would wake up, or like I set my alarm to wake myself up or anything like that. I don't think I ever did set an alarm to wake up in the middle of the night that I think of. I know that I set my alarm to like get up for things, like I had to go to work, so I'd have my alarm set. There were some mornings, I would have to get up at 3 a.m. to go into work because we had a big wedding or some big event that day. And a lot of times with weddings, they're always on a Saturday. But, the wedding wouldn't be until, 6 o'clock that night. But, you would have all the bridesmaids coming in, and, we'd have to set up hors d'oeuvre trays for them and stuff like that. And, the groom and all the groomsmen would, come hang out, and, they would be drinking beer or whatever, hanging out in their room. And then, the bride and the bridesmaid be hanging out in their room, and they would be drinking champagne and wine and having cheese trays and stuff like that, or whatever they decided they wanted to have. So we would have to start cooking for these guys like very early, because the friends and family would all come. I kind of lost my point, what I was talking about. Like I said, I would have to get up in the middle of the night sometimes to go into work. And, if I had to get up, I would go ahead and make myself a drink, because I had to go to work. But, like I said, there were a lot of nights that, I would wake up and, let's say I would wake up at 2 a.m. and I'd wake up and I'd have to go pee. Which most of us get up in the middle of the night and have to use the restroom at some point. But I would wake up and, like I said, let's say 2 a.m., I'd have to go pee. I would go use the restroom. And when I would get up to use the restroom, I would already start to feel that shaky feeling. My hands would be shaking. I would start to get that that really anxious feeling when I would wake up. My heart would start beating really fast. I would just feel like there was like almost like I was having a panic attack coming on, which is insane. You know, here it is in the middle of the night, you know, 2, 3, 4 a.m. And I'm feeling like I'm about to have a panic attack. And, you know, I would try to lay back down and go back to sleep, and that wasn't happening. Number one, I felt so bad. I used to wake up in the middle of the night. Any time I woke up in the middle of the night, my heart would start racing. I would wake up because my heart was racing. It happened so often that like I wouldn't even know what was going on. I would just like kind of like just come straight up out of the bed. Like, you know, I just woke up out of, you know, a cold sleep and just would sit straight up in the bed, and I would be breathing really heavy, sweat pouring off of me. Like I said, I just felt like I was having a panic attack. And I would get up, use the restroom, like I said, and then, you know, I would, you know, splash some water on my face or something. And, you know, I would try to go lay back down, but I couldn't go back to sleep. My mind would be racing. And a lot of the time, you know, like I was talking about in yesterday's video, a lot of the time, I think one of the things that used to give me really bad anxiety is I would wake up at 2, 3, 4 a.m. and I had no recollection of what had happened the night before. You know, talk about having a panic attack. When you wake up and you don't even know how you even got in your bed. Or I'd wake up on the couch and not even know how I got there. There were a lot of nights I woke up, I would be on the floor. It just depended on where I passed out. I would fall asleep on our table on our back porch, just sitting in my chair, and I'd wake up, you know, 3 o'clock in the morning. Here I am, just sitting in my chair. And I would have that same feeling, that same like panic attack feeling. My heart would be racing. You know, I was discombobulated. I just didn't know what was going on. You know, so instead of just going and laying back down and going to sleep, I would do what the title of today's video is going to be. I could not make it through the night. I would have to go make myself a drink in order to go back to sleep. I mean, it had gotten so bad that I couldn't even make it through the whole entire night without having a cocktail. You know, and once again, this didn't happen every single night, but it happened a lot. I would wake up, you know, and I've spoken about this, but I wouldn't make a drink in my kitchen because my wife would hear me. And if she heard me in the kitchen at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning mixing a drink, you better believe that she was going to get up and chew my butt. So, you know, I'd wake up, like I said, you know, feeling like I was having a panic attack, go use the restroom, and then I'd throw some shorts on really quick and a t-shirt, sneak out the room, close the bedroom door as quietly as I possibly could, make sure that I didn't let that latch close. I had to turn the bedroom door and then close it and then slowly release the doorknob just slow enough to where it would close. And then I would go in the kitchen and I'd grab a plastic cup, because if I tried using one of those stainless cups or a glass cup, it would make too much noise when I put the ice in it. So I'd get a plastic cup out, and it's just insane to think about how strategic I was at 3 a.m., you know, as discombobulated and as drunk as I still was, that I would still have the capacity about me to think about this. So I'd go get my plastic cup, and instead of sticking the cup underneath the ice dispenser, I would open up the freezer, open up that little door where the ice is, and grab a piece at a time and put it all the way in the bottom of the cup. So, you know, I'd set it in the cup, and I'd set that in the cup. And I'd get just enough ice in my cup, and then I'd close the freezer door back really slowly, and then I'd walk downstairs really quietly, and I'd go down there and I'd get my stash, which would always be like stashed back behind the couch, or stashed in between the couch cushions, or stashed in the back of the toilet in the water. I'm not kidding. I used to put liquor back there. I had so many different hiding places, and my wife likes to keep her like Christmas decorations downstairs in that room. They're all in big Tupperware containers, and I knew that my wife would never go looking through her Christmas decorations for a liquor bottle. So I would stash my liquor bottle in there all the time. That was like one of my go-to places to put my stuff. And it was downstairs, so I could get it out, not have to worry about her hearing me. So like I said, I'd get up 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, go downstairs with my cup of ice, get my vodka bottle out wherever it was stashed at, pour myself that much into the cup, and I've got a little teeny refrigerator down there. It's just a little dorm fridge. And I would often have, little soda cans of like 7-Up or something. I always had little soda cans in that fridge of mixers. That's just where I kept them so that I could mix my drinks downstairs when I was hanging out down there. And I kept them down there too, just for that reason. When I woke up in the middle of the night or when I woke up in the morning, I could mix my drink down there because I wanted my mixer to be cold. And I used to use the 2-liter bottle, but then I found that the 2-liter bottles would get flat too easily, and I did not like that. Even though I barely put any Sprite or 7-Up in my drink when I would make it with that, I still wanted it to be carbonated. So I just started buying the cans, and I really didn't use that much soda anyway. So like one soda can would, 2 soda cans of Sprite or 7-Up would last me the whole entire night, and that's all I ever needed. So I don't know why I just told you guys all of that, but anyway, like I said, I'd go down there, I would grab my little soda can out, and then I would go into my bathroom down there, and I would close the door. That way, my wife, if she did wake up and realize that I wasn't in the bed, which she did do a lot, she'd roll over and put her arm over there and realize that the bed was cold and I'm not in it. So the first thing she'd do is wake up and go looking for me. And if she woke up and went downstairs and found me mixing a drink at 3 o'clock in the morning, she would have lost her mind. So once again, here I am being super sneaky. And, I'm in my bathroom pretending that I'm going to the bathroom as I'm in there mixing up my drink. And instead of getting up and, going out of the bathroom and maybe sitting in a recliner and turning the TV on for a little bit and watch some TV while I had my drink, no. I didn't do that. I had to hide. So I stayed in the bathroom the whole entire time that I drank my drink until I finished. And when I got done, you better believe that that cup that I mixed my drink in got completely washed out in the sink. And I had to melt all the ice in the sink or I flushed it down the toilet. I could not leave any evidence laying around. If my wife came down there, because my wife is the type that notices everything, and if she walked in there and saw that there was ice in the sink, she would know automatically that I was in there drinking alcohol and that I was trying to cover up my tracks. So, I'd either flush the ice down the toilet or melt the ice all the way in the sink and either, get up and go back to bed or drink another one. And I just sit there and just fool around on my phone in the bathroom. I would have the lid to the toilet closed and all that. I'm just sitting on the toilet lid, just sitting there, just hanging out, playing on my phone for, however long that I felt like it. And a lot of times, what would end up happening is, like I said, I would wake up with this like panicked feeling. I would have that first drink and then the panic would start to subside. And then I would start to feel better. And once I started to feel better, you best believe that it's time for round 2. I'd have to have another one. And a lot of times I would. Most time I wouldn't make one as big, but I would have another one. I would have that second drink. And once I finished that second drink, then I could go lay back down and go back to sleep. But that happened all the time. It's just insane that I couldn't even make it all the way through the night. I remember talking to somebody, and I'm not going to say who this is. It's somebody that's kind of close to me. They used to dip tobacco And they were telling me one time that they had become so addicted to the dip that they couldn't even make it all the way through the night, that they would wake up in the middle of the night and slide a dip in at like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, 12 o'clock at night, whenever they would wake up. But they were that addicted to the dip that they would have to wake up, put a dip in, and then they'd go back to sleep with the dip in their mouth. And I thought that was the most ridiculous thing I'd ever heard. Now, this was before, I started waking up and mixing drinks in the middle of the night. But I just remember that, and I'll never forget that person telling me that, and just the judgment that I had in my mind. I was like, you got to be kidding me. You're that addicted that you can't even sleep the whole entire night without waking up and putting a dip in your mouth. Like, you have a serious problem, and it's probably about time to stop. And I remember telling this person, like, it's time for you to stop doing that stuff. And, the thing is, they did quit, and they haven't dipped since. And it's been years ago that they quit. But they were doing like 2 cans of dip a day. And I've never been a dipper, so I don't really know. I would imagine that like a whole can of dip every day is probably a lot. But who am I? I've only dipped just a couple of times in my life. I never enjoyed it. I always just thought it was gross. You get the little pieces of tobacco all between your teeth. They're on your mouth. You spend the whole entire day just going, just trying to get it out. So it's just never been something I really ever enjoyed. But like I said, I just remembered this person telling me that they would have to wake up in the middle of the night to slide a dip in. And like I said, I remember the judgment that I had for that individual. I remember thinking to myself, like, you have a serious problem and you need to address that now. That if you can't make it all the way through the night without waking up and putting another dip in, you need to get that fixed. And a couple years later, I'm waking up in the middle of the night, a few nights a week, and mixing myself a drink because I couldn't even go the whole entire night without drinking alcohol. And it's not like I didn't drink enough throughout the day. I'm already drinking a half of a gallon of vodka throughout the day and more. And then I've got to wake up and drink even more in the middle of the night. No wonder I ended up with pancreatitis. I never gave my pancreas a rest at all. My pancreas was just beat up every single day. Every single day. I just never gave it a rest. My liver never got a rest. My stomach never got a rest. My organs never got a rest. My brain never got a rest from the alcohol. Just my whole entire body was just inundated with alcohol 24/7. And it's no wonder I got sick. My body finally gave up and said, we've had enough. Either you stop doing this or we just can't keep up with you anymore. And, I'm glad that I was able to stop. I really am. I am so blessed to have been able to have the amount of time that I've had, especially spending with my family and hanging out with all of you guys and being able to make these videos, spend time talking with you guys, trying to help as many people as I possibly can, because they told me when I got out of the hospital that I might have a year left. And here it is, over 3 years, 3 years in total. They told me I was going to be gone 2 years ago. It was the Christmas of 2023 is when they told me I wouldn't be here anymore. So, yeah. So we're talking 2 years ago, just about, that I was supposed to be gone. And I'm still here. And, like I said, I feel so blessed to have been able to have this amount of time to spend with my friends and my family sober. And just to be able to have a chance just to try to, fix some of the relationships that I ruined with my AUD. Because I did. I ruined all of my relationships. And I've tried really hard to try to fix some of them. Some of them, there's just no coming back. And I completely understand it, but at least I was given the opportunity to at least try. And that's all that I can do. And that's all that any of us can do. It's just try. Some people, they're just done, and there's nothing that we can do about it. It is what it is. Should we be upset about it? yeah, of course, if you've lost a good friend or a family member that's not speaking to you anymore, yeah, it hurts. But once again, all we can do is look towards the future and, look towards the horizon and just keep pushing. You just cannot give up. If you've relapsed, like I said, if you relapse over this past weekend, it's okay. Just pick yourself back up. And I know people say that all the time. Just pick yourself back up and dust yourself off and keep trying. But that is just the honest to God truth. It really is. We just have to pick ourselves back up and just try again. And if you fall down and slip and drink again, pick yourself back up and try again. And same thing, every time it happens, eventually it will stick. I'd never thought that it would. All the times that I relapsed, I thought I would never be able to make it stick. I'd basically given up at that point. And it wasn't until I got sick and ended up in the hospital and then got out that I was able to finally make the sobriety stick. And, the thought of ending up in the hospital and going through all of that wasn't even an option in my mind. It's something I never even thought about. But it happened. And that's what it took for me to get sober. And I'm grateful that it did happen. Did I almost lose my life? Yep. Did they tell me that, I was supposed to only live for, a year after that? Yep. What did that do for me, though? It made me really rethink my whole entire life and how important my time is and how important it is for me to spend time with my friends and family with what I have now. And that's what I've done. And, once again, I'm so blessed to have been able to spend as much time with my friends and my family as I have and, be able to spend as much time as I have with you guys. Doing these videos and being able to, doing these videos and trying to help as many people as I possibly can has been one of the greatest gifts that I have ever been given. Every single time that I read a comment and somebody tells me, hey, I just hit a year sober and, if it wasn't for this channel, I never would have gotten there. And man, I can't tell you how awesome that makes me feel. And the thing is that I really appreciate when you guys tell me that, but at the end of the day, you guys did all the hard work. I just made the videos. I just threw out some inspiration and, maybe gave a couple of pointers or something like that. But all of you guys did the hard work. I wasn't the one there dealing with the withdrawals. I just wasn't. I wasn't the one there, walking through the grocery store and had to look the other way when you got to the alcohol aisle. That was you. And I am so proud of each and every single one of you. I really am. And I just can't tell you how blessed that I really do feel with just everything, and especially this channel. And like I said, being able to speak to each and every single one of you guys every single day. It is so cool. So I just want to say thank you to each and every single one of you that are here and that watch every single day. I have so many people tell me that they watch these videos each and every single day, that they never miss. Thank you. Thank you for being here every day. It really does make me feel special. And it helps me a lot because of how much of a mess that I did make in my previous life. It just helps me feel better about, the mess that I made previously. And, maybe I'm cleaning it up just a little bit by doing this. And that's not why I'm here by any means. So don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to make these videos for any other reason than to try to help people. And to let those that are sick know that they are not alone and that I'm here. And, once again, for any of you guys out there who are sick right now, or you're struggling really bad, getting sober, or whatever it is, if you need to reach out to me, my email is in the description box. So feel free to send me a message. I will respond to you. I do get a lot of emails, so don't expect me to just, reply right away. It might take me a couple of hours, or it might be tomorrow by the time I get back to you, just depending on what time of day it is and everything when you send me an email. But I promise you, I will get back to your email. So if you need to reach out, email's in the description. Send me an email, and I'd be more than happy to get back with you. So I think that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching today. Like I said, I just wanted to talk about the fact that I couldn't even make it through the night. I couldn't. I had to wake up in the middle of the night and make myself a drink because, going 6 or 7 hours without alcohol was just, that wasn't up for debate. I had to get up and drink, because if I didn't, the withdrawal would be too bad. So, like I said, guys, I just wanted to come on here today and just talk about the fact that I couldn't even make it through the night without having a drink. So if you're doing the same, you're not the only one. And that's one of the reasons that I come on here every single day, so that I can let people know that no matter where you're at in your drinking, if you feel like you're the only person in the world that drinks the way or the amount that you do, I can promise you that there's somebody else out there who drinks more, or drinks more frequently, or whatever, or they're doing the same things you're doing. You would be surprised at how many people are doing the same exact thing that you're doing right now too. I thought for so long that I was the only person out there that was drinking the amount that I was and the frequency that I was. Come to find out, I wasn't. There's a whole bunch of people out there doing the same exact thing that I was doing. And it just feels good to know, even though nobody wants other people to be doing the same thing that we're doing, but it just feels good to know that we're not alone. And we're not alone in any of this. And there's other people out there that we can lean on, especially those of us who have been through all of that and have been able to get sober. And, we can help other people walk down the same path as us and hopefully get to that sobriety as well. So, guys, until tomorrow, I will see you all then. Y'all have a wonderful night. Bye-bye.